Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Bennett with Augmentic Accounting YouTube channel. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos. It's been pretty busy the last couple months, and a lot has happened in the AI world. And so I figure one of the things that we can catch up on that I think everyone is talking about is Claude Code, especially for non-technical folks. So I'm actually going to make this part of a series. I'm going to keep the videos themselves to be a little bit shorter, but have more videos in the series just to kind of break it up into more digestible chunks and kind of hit on maybe core themes with each of those smaller videos. So what I wanted to kind of talk about in this video was just kind of an intro about what Claude Code is, and then from there we'll kind of show it in action in the next video. But so Claude Code, if you're not familiar, it's actually been around for probably, I want to say, maybe 10 months or so. I want to say probably May 2025, April 2025 is when I think it first came out, maybe June, but in that window, okay? If you've listened to my podcast with my brother, the Break Even Brothers, you'll know that my brother, who is a software engineer at OpenAI, he was big on Claude Code when it had first come out. And basically the CLI way, the CLI meaning command line interface, way to kind of work with AI and get work done for you with an AI agent in that way has kind of slowly taken off. And I think it's really, over the last couple months now, it's really taken off to a much, much higher degree than initially when it first rolled out. I think I actually wasn't a fan of the CLI type interface with agents just because I felt like I needed to see the text. I needed to see the files I was working on. And this was in the context of like actual software engineering for like my hobby projects and stuff. And so I wasn't a big fan of it, but a couple of things, I guess, since maybe I wasn't a fan that have kind of turned me into being a fan is, I think one, the first thing, probably the most important thing is the Opus 4.5 model is really, really good. And so when you have a really good model that is excellent at coding, it's just excellent understanding, a user's intent, then that's opened up some doors kind of for me to kind of get familiar with the Claude Code and try and give it a try. And then I think the second part is, at least for me, trying to understand a bit more about like their philosophy on skills and kind of sub-agents. And we'll talk about that more in the next video. But if you've seen my past videos, you know that I was really big on like a tool calling agent that can like be reproducible, that can be a bit more deterministic. And I think Claude Code does a great job of like having a balance where it is still deterministic and it is still, kind of prescriptive. It's going to execute code for you, but you don't have to like know code as much as like in my last videos. And the way that Claude Code works is it's kind of more like text file based, and you'll see that more when we kind of get into the specific examples and everything. So that's what Claude Code is and kind of how it works. In order to install, I'm not going to do like a full install video, but what I would just say is if you are, in accounting or finance, you're probably on a Windows machine. And I would advise you to install this via a Windows subsystem for Linux, WSL. Because this was definitely made, for that OS and for that kind of structure. Windows, PowerShell, and command prompt, it just works differently, and I think it's a bit more inconsistent, just from what I've been able to read online. So definitely just go with the recommended WSL. And it might look unfamiliar at first, but once you kind of get up and running, you'll see it's not so bad. So with the last couple minutes that we are going to do in this video here, I'm going to kind of show maybe two terminal windows side by side here. Hopefully this comes across on the screen okay. So once you have Claude Code installed, what we're going to be able to do is just go into your terminal, which is what this window is called. And your terminal is basically just like a text way to work through your files. So I think most people in accounting are familiar with something more like this, right? Where they can kind of go into File Explorer and they can see, okay, I got my context, I got my agents folder, right? So you have all these different things. The command line is kind of maybe the old-fashioned way of doing this. The diehard like hobbyists will say this is always the best way to do it, but like, it's just a bit more unfamiliar. But like really that's all it is. So like, if I go into here and I type in ls, it's going to list everything that's in my directory. So I have these different projects and stuff like that. So, if I go back here and I go, cd change directory and I go into .claude, I'm in the Claude directory, which is what I have on the other screen there. So like it's a way to kind of poke around and do stuff. But once you have it installed, you can just go ahead and hit Claude, and you're going to hit yes. It's just going to ask you, do you trust the files in your system? And then here you go. So now I have a chat, an AI agent right here. I can say, what is today's date? and it's going to tell me the right date. And you can see here it's using Opus 4.5. The way that Claude Code works is it uses forward slashes as like, commands, I think is what they call them. So you can have custom commands. You can also have like their regular kind of normal commands. Like one of the ones is model. So you can kind of pick Opus, Sonnet, or Haiku. Gives you a brief description about which one is better for kind of what you need. And then, or you can do like use. I like to see use or context, I think is what it is. It kind of shows this is all the context that you have that's being used, that's available to you, and where it's being used, which is really helpful because when we get into building AI agents, managing the context window is really important. And so if you have like really big tool calls or you are trying to load in huge PDFs, it's going to fill up that context window really fast. And so you're going to need to kind of find ways to manage that. And I think that's going to be one of the skills that when you're building, AI agents, and speaking from the accounting context, you're working with large data sets. I think people that are going to effectively use AI and be valuable in like an AI first workplace will kind of know how to manage that, cleverly still. So I'm gonna go ahead and click, and then to exit, you just kind of /exit, and you're done. So there you go. See you later. So that's gonna wrap it up for this video. And then my next video, we're gonna talk about kind of how you can use Claude, or how you can think about Claude in a bit more like useful scenarios. So cool. See you in the next one. Thanks, everybody.